A couple of days after my sit-down meeting with Sam, Ty, and Irish, Mike's grace period was up. Sam had told him he had 2 weeks to present his paperwork or he was going to find out what happened, and it was time. While I was walking to breakfast that morning, Irish leaned in close next to my ear and told me that Mike was getting hit, that the next time the doors cracked, probably for showers that afternoon, they had a piece with Mike's name on it. I remained outwardly calm, gave him the nod, kept walking to breakfast, but inwardly I was worried, panicked even. I still had this naive idea that nobody needed to get hurt while I was there. That if I did the right tricks, that if I was smart enough, no blood needed to hit the concrete. I was a fool. This was going to end in blood and there was nothing I could do to stop it. If I'd had any common sense, I would have just let it go right then. But instead, I waited until I saw Ty walking to chow, and I did the same thing to him that Irish had done to me. I leaned in close, got next to his ear, and let him know that Mike was going to get hit. Told him he needed to warn him that the next time the doors opened, he needed to go and roll up, that he was going to get stabbed. Ty gave me the nod, and he walked to breakfast, same as I had, as I walked back to my cell. It wasn't until about an hour later, after the doors had closed, that the magnitude of the mistake that I had made really registered. It wasn't going to take Sherlock Holmes to figure out that I had warned Mike if the only people who knew that Mike was getting hit were Sam, Irish, and myself, which I suspected was the case. That afternoon, whenever they ran showers, my heart was beating, and I really felt like the events of that day might well determine how I died, if I died, there on Badger Section. I got my mirror, and I leaned out the door like this to see what was going on down the tier while they were running showers. I waited quietly, listening to every nuance of sound, trying to hear what was happening. You get really good at listening when you're locked in a cell like that. I'm listening for the sound of Mike running down the tier trying to get help, telling them that he needs protective custody. Maybe I'm listening for the sound of him not making it past whoever they sent to hit him. And maybe I'm listening to the sound of him being stabbed there on the shower floor. But all I'm hearing is normal showering sounds, and the tier is finishing. The showers are turning off, people are locking up. And then finally I hear an officer real quick and loud, "Stop! Get down! Right now! Drop it!" And I'm angling my mirror to try and see what's going on, and I just managed to catch a glimpse of an officer pepper spraying Irish. And the smell hits you. Even if you're 20, 30, 50 feet away from this pepper spray, you immediately smell it, you start coughing, and you know that something's happening. And the smell pervades the air, and then the alarm goes off, and it's loud and flashing, and you hear the keys of 20, 30 officers all running to the incident. And I'm trying to see what happened to Mike or to see what's going on with Irish, and I can't see anything. Until finally medical arrives, and I see Mike get ran past the bottom tier on a gurney with 3 nurses with him, and I can see they have his face covered up with a sheet. And then next comes Irish, and he's looking proud. This is the mission completed strut as they drag him past all of the cells. No program for the rest of the day, no explanation as what happened. You don't get nice, clean endings in prison. You just see what you see, and that's all you know. I didn't know if Mike was dead or maimed or anything. I felt like garbage. I still felt like there was something I could have done to prevent it. It was about a day later, whenever they ran program again, and I got to speak to Ty, and I asked him, why didn't Mike roll up? Why didn't he go PC? And Ty explained that he hadn't passed on the message that Mike was going to get hit, that he decided he wanted to mind his own business, and he didn't care what happened to the guy. I was hurt and angry at the time. How could he let something like that happen? I put it right on his shoulders like it was his fault. I was being very unfair. I look forward to eventually apologizing to Ty for this. It was an impossible situation, and maybe he saved my life. Perhaps if he had warned Mike, I would have been the guy that got hit by Irish that day. It's easy to get the idea that we're in charge, that we determine the outcome of what goes on around us. We're not going to let somebody do something. We're not going to let something happen. Hubris, arrogance. We're barely in charge of ourselves. I wasn't in charge of myself. I was a 20-year-old kid, and I had not invested my time wisely becoming an adult, becoming somebody who understood long-term consequences. I wasted so much of my adolescence trying to force the world to be the way that I wanted it to be. I should have been working on myself, making myself better, stronger, smarter, more capable of dealing with the problems that I'd be presented with. Then maybe I could have actually done something. And you see, that's the root of the problem, is that we want to change the world, but we fail to first change ourselves. And if you're incapable of being the man, the woman, the person that you want to be, that you know you should be, how can you possibly have the hubris to think that you should decide what the world looks like? How did I have that hubris? So take a moment and resolve that you are going to find a way to make yourself just that little bit better, that little bit smarter, stronger, faster, whatever the adjective is, that will give you the competence, the ability to make the world just a little bit better right along with you.